25.7 is going to be centered around nerfing most of the OP champs from last patch, as Naafiri, Gwen, and Lulu are all going to be losing power. Buffs this patch are going to be going towards a bunch of more niche picks like Olaf, Ivern, Trundle, while Yorick is going to be receiving a pretty massive overhaul. So by the end of this video, you're going to be completely caught up to speed with everything you need to know for patch 25.7, which is going to be hitting live servers this upcoming Wednesday, April 2nd. And did you know mastering your champion will boost your win rate by a massive 9% on average? That's why at Skill Capped we offer Smurf commentaries. Simply select the champion you want to master and get guides from challenger experts teaching you to play your champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. And after that, you can take any of our brand new Season 15 courses that teach you the secrets to carrying as a top laner, a mid laner, a jungler, and support. This Friday, we're going to be releasing one of our biggest projects ever, which we're going to roll out first for ADC, so you don't want to miss out. And it doesn't stop there. We have courses on macro, wave control, trading, setting and hotkeys, CSing, vision, mechanics, low elo mistakes, man, and the list goes on. The best part is you can try all of this out completely risk-free, since if you don't rank up while actively using Skill Capped, you're going to get your money back and there's no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below right now to get the rank that you have always dreamed of. Champions that like to build towards Rod of Ages are going to be buffed for 25.7 as Catalyst is becoming stronger. The build path is now going to include another Ruby Crystal. The 25.6 build path consisted of a Ruby Crystal, a Sapphire Crystal, and then you need another 600 gold to complete Catalyst. From now on though, if you recall and you're 200 gold away from being able to purchase Catalyst, you're going to be able to pick up another Ruby Crystal instead of having to run back to lane sitting on 400 gold. Mana is going up from 300 to 375, and the passive, which restores mana based on damage taken from champions, is going up from 7 to 10% of damage taken. We have a pretty interesting adjustment to Umbral Glaive for this patch, with the cost going down from 2600 to 2500 gold, AD being increased from 50 to 55. However, the passive cooldown is being increased from 50 to 90 seconds. For solo queue specifically, this likely lands as a net buff. More power through raw damage is always going to be more valuable than vision control for solo queue. Now, we saw that firsthand at the very start of the season when Riot removed Eyeball Collection in exchange for the vision-oriented runes in the Domination tree, and every single Domination primary user lost a few % win rate. Now, even with these adjustments landing as a buff, there are only a few champs that have been liking the item in recent patches who can take advantage of it. Pyke and Pantheon are the only ones who have had a play rate above 10% with Umbral, so they're going to benefit the most from these changes. There is a chance we see the item picked back up on Senna, and it could potentially come back on certain junglers as well, but we're really going to have to wait and see the item on live servers to get the complete picture as to how impactful these changes really are going to be. We do have a change that's going to slightly reduce the tempo in League, as you won't be healing as quickly in base anymore, while your movement speed going back to lane is also going to be nerfed as well. So max health per second is dropping from 10.4% to 8%. Max mana regeneration per second is going down from 12.4 to 10%. Missing health and mana per second is going from 6 scaling to 12% to just 16% at all levels. Homeguard's decaying movement speed will be changed from 75 scaling to 150% to 65 scaling to 150%. So in a way, this is a buff to teleport, as not being able to just base and walk back to lane as quick anymore will cause you to lose an extra minion or two moving forward. And then we have one more minor change to lane swap detection for this patch, as the Raptor camp will no longer be included in the detection radius. So on to the champion buffs now. Brand is going to have his passive damage cap to non-epic monsters increased from 30 to 40, so a bit of boost to the clear speed of Brand. Passive explosion damage cap to monsters is being increased from 250 scaling to 475 to 270 scaling to 525. Ivern is going to be getting a stronger gank and skirmish for 25.7, as his Q root duration is being increased from 1.2 to 1.6 seconds at rank 1 in the spell, but it'll stay the same at max rank. A nice change to improve the fluidity of Olaf is being issued, with his E cast time being lowered from 0.25 seconds to 0.25, scaling to 0.175 seconds based on his bonus attack speed. Pretty small buff overall and won't actually make Olaf much better, but it will make him feel a little bit more smooth to play. AD Shaco is going to be buffed in two different ways, with his passive bonus AD ratio ratio going up from 25 to 30%. Q bonus AD ratio sees a boost as well, being increased from 60 to 65%. The split push threat of Shen will become stronger for 25.7 as his Q is now going to apply the flat damage to turrets. We could potentially see support Trundle make a comeback for this patch as his E cooldown is going to be dropping from 24 to 21 seconds at rank 1, while E slow is being increased from 30 scaling to 46% to 34 scaling to 50%. The bear is going to have a bonus AD ratio tacked onto his W damage as it will now scale off 15% of his bonus AD. Last patch we saw nerfs targeted toward Darius in the jungle, but this patch he's going to receive nerfs that will impact him as a top laner as well. Base armor is dropping from 39 to 37, while E cooldown is being increased from 24 scaling to 14 seconds to 26 scaling to 16 seconds. Riot's going to be removing a pretty substantial amount of power from Gwen for 25.7 as they're completely reverting the Q-based damage buff from last patch. W resist are going down as well from 25 to 22 flat, however the AP ratio is up from 5 to 7%. It's not just Gwen that Riot will be reverting, as Lillia will have her EAP ratio buff reverted for 25.7, going back down from 60 to 50%. Lulu has been one of the most consistently powerful supports throughout the entire season, so she's getting nerfed in two ways for this patch. Q minimum damage is dropping by 10 at all ranks, and Q max damage is down by 15 at all ranks. W cooldown is nerfed as well, going from 18 scaling to 16 seconds to just 18 seconds at all ranks. Naafiri has been by far the most OP champion in 25.6, so she's going to be nerfed in a few different ways. Armor is dropping from 30 to 28, base health is down from 635 to 610. W cooldown is nerfed as well, going from 20 scaling to 18 seconds to 22 scaling to 18 seconds. Passive monster damage amp is being lowered from 165 to 155%, and then Q minion damage is being increased from 80 to 100%. So our initial thoughts on these changes are that they probably won't be enough to remove Naafiri from being a top tier pick. Singed is going to have some of his powers shuffled around for this patch as his passive per target cooldown is going up from 8 to 10 seconds. However, QAP ratio is being increased from 40 to 42.5%. Our bonus stats are dropping from 30 scaling to 100 to 25 scaling to 95. So more damage in exchange for a bit less tankiness and less frequent movement speed. Xerath's early game in power as a support is going to be getting weaker for this patch, but his scaling strength as a mid laner is up. QAP ratio is going up from 85 to 90%. W base damage is dropping by 10 at all ranks. However, the AP ratio is up from 60 to 65%. E base damage is down by 10 at all ranks. R base damage is also dropping by 10 at all ranks. However, our AP ratio is being increased from 40 to 45%. To everyone's delight, Yone is going to be dealing more damage for 25.7 as his passive crit damage modifier is being removed, so instead of dealing 90% damage from crits, it'll now be 100%. To compensate though, Yone E will no longer cleanse crowd control at the end of the ability. We have a laundry list of changes to Yorick for this patch, starting with his deaths per grave going from 12 scaling to 2 to 8 scaling to 2. Q on champions and large or epic monsters will now spawn a grave. Mistwalker's health is being reduced by around 50%. Mistwalkers will no longer die instantly to basic attacks and single target spells. Instead of Mistwalkers taking 50% less damage from all monsters, they're going to take 60% less damage from minions and non-epic monsters. Mistwalker AD is going up from 4 scaling to 90 to 15 scaling to 75. Mistwalker attack speed will no longer be at 8% per level and instead scale off Yorick's bonus attack speed. Mistwalkers will no longer recall with Yorick while engaged with jungle monsters, so a nice buff to Yorick jungle here. Q cooldown is dropping from 7 to 6 seconds at rank 1, but will stay the same at max rank. Q damage total AD ratio is going up from 40 to 50%. E will no longer deal damage based on 15% of the target's current health and will instead have a base value of 70 scaling to 210, and AP ratio is up from 70 to 100%. So Liandra's Yorick stocks are on the rise with this one. E movement speed is going up from 20 to 30%. Instead of Yorick E providing his Mistwalkers with 20% bonus damage, it'll now give him 18 scaling to 30% armor shred. Riot has also noted that E leap and basic attacks will now properly apply Black Cleaver's armor shred. An additional bug fix consists of E leap no longer failing to reach its targets over terrain. Our base damage is being changed from 0 scaling to 40 to 50 scaling to 100. The 50% total AD ratio is being swapped for a 30% bonus AD ratio. Yorick's armor growth is going down from 5.2 to 4.5, and for a nice quality of life change, Yorick will now be able to ping his passive to display the total number of Mistwalkers that are nearby and on the map. So overall, the big takeaway from all of these adjustments is that Yorick's early game becomes a bit stronger in exchange for a slightly weaker late game. What we likely see as a result of this is Yorick being more viable in the higher elos, while his low elo dominance is going to suffer.
Okay guys, one last thing. Our rank up guarantee is absolutely insane. It's kind of like signing up for the gym and then just getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in Skillcapped. We obsess over making the best guides with the top players, the rigorous testing, and top-tier video editing to make your climb as easy as possible. If you're ready to level up, just visit skillcap.com and literally see the difference.
So there you have it, everyone, a complete look at all of the changes that are going to be hitting live servers this upcoming Wednesday, April 2nd. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you back soon.